All right, so have you ever tried to build like a sacred space,
Mm.
out of like sticks and blanket?
Yeah, like kids do all the time.
Yeah, exactly. But what if you had like the divine blueprint for a portable temple?
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today.
A portable temple.
Yeah, the tabernacle, as described in Exodus chapter 25.
Oh, wow. That's pretty wild. You got Moses up on Mount Sinai, right? And God's giving him this super detailed shopping list and instructions for this incredible sanctuary out in the wilderness. We're not just talking tents here.
Oh no, this is like next level. Gold, silver, bronze, fabrics,
Hmm.
specific types of wood and animal hides.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate Pinterest board for ancient luxury camping.
Oh, right. But here's the thing. It wasn't just about the stuff. It was about the heart behind the giving.
Exactly. Yeah, the text really emphasizes that. These offerings had to be given freely and willingly, not out of obligation. It's almost like God was looking for a certain energy, like a spirit of generosity, even before the first hammer was swung.
So not just like tossing some spare change in the collection plate, right?
Uh-huh.
But really feeling that inner yes before you give.
Yeah, that inner yes.
It makes you wonder what God was trying to teach them and us
Yeah.
through this whole willing heart thing.
That's a good question. It is fascinating. On one level, it's about recognizing that everything we have ultimately comes from a source beyond ourselves. So it's about gratitude, acknowledging that we're participating in something bigger.
And maybe it's also about that shift in mindset, going from I have to I get to? Like, what if bringing that spirit of generosity to everything we do, from work projects to like making dinner, could transform the experience?
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And speaking of transformation, let's get into the specifics of what they were building. We've got 3 key objects within the tabernacle: the Ark of the Covenant, the table of showbread, and the golden lampstand.
Okay.
Each one is packed with symbolism and purpose.
Wait, let's start with the big one. The Ark of the Covenant. This thing sounds straight out of an Indiana Jones movie. Golden chest, mysterious powers.
Yeah.
Break it down for us. What was it and what made it so important?
Well, no snakes or melting faces as far as we know.
Okay, good.
But it was a chest made of acacia wood and covered in gold, inside and out. And inside this chest, the 2 stone tablets of the 10 Commandments, God's ultimate law and covenant with his people.
So basically the most valuable safe deposit box in history.
Right.
But where was it kept? I mean, you don't just leave something that important lying around.
Oh, it had its own VIP room, the Holy of Holies, the innermost chamber of the tabernacle. Considered the dwelling place of God's presence, it was so holy that only the high priest could enter, and even then, just once a year.
Wow, talk about exclusive access. So it wasn't just about protecting the tablets physically. It was about honoring their spiritual significance.
Absolutely, and to make it even more dramatic, there was this mercy seat on top of the ark, flanked by 2 golden cherubim, these winged angel-like beings, with their wings outstretched, almost like they were guarding the presence of God within.
Okay, now I really want to know what was going through Moses' mind when he was standing there with God's presence hovering right above that ark.
I know, right? What would it have felt like to be in that space, knowing you were in the presence of the divine?
It's mind-blowing to even imagine.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that boggle the mind, let's move on to object number 2, the table of showbread. Bread. Really? What's so special about a table full of carbs?
Don't underestimate the power of a good loaf. This table, also acacia wood and gold-plated, held 12 loaves of bread that were constantly refreshed, symbolizing God as the provider, always present and sustaining his people.
So even in the ancient world, they understood the importance of keeping your energy levels up. But it's fascinating that something as simple as bread could have such deep spiritual significance. What's the takeaway here? Beyond just, God provides snacks?
Think about it. The Israelites baked this bread every single week as an act of devotion. It wasn't just about sustenance. It was about ritual, remembrance, connecting to something larger than themselves through a simple act of baking and sharing. What simple ritual could you incorporate into your life to connect with something larger than yourself?
That's a really interesting question to ponder. Okay, we've talked about the law, sustenance. What's the final piece of this holy trinity of furniture?
Oh, yes, the golden lampstand. And this one is all about illumination, literally and metaphorically.
Okay, hit me with the dazzling details. I'm picturing something straight out of a palace.
Picture this: a single shaft of pure beaten gold, with 6 branches curving gracefully outwards, 3 on each side. Each branch adorned with delicate almond blossoms and intricate details, all crafted from that same shimmering gold. It was a masterpiece of artistry and symbolism.
So it wasn't just about keeping the tabernacle lit up, was it? There had to be a deeper meaning behind all that golden light.
Light has always been a powerful metaphor for knowledge, truth, and guidance. In this context, the golden lampstand served as a symbol of God's presence, as a source of light and wisdom in the lives of the Israelites. But it also raises an important question for us today. How do we bring that light into our own lives? And how do we become sources of light for others?
I love that the idea that we can be like little golden lampstands, shining our light out into the world. But how do we actually do that? I mean, most of us aren't exactly hammering out masterpieces in solid gold.
It doesn't have to be these grand gestures, though, Think about it. Exodus describes these artisans like being filled with the Spirit of God as they worked on the tabernacle. What if we approached our work, even like spreadsheets and emails, with that same level of divine inspiration?
Oh, wow.
How would that change our mindset, our attention to detail, the energy we bring to the task?
Whoa, that's a game changer. It's not about the what, it's about the how.
Yes.
Bringing that spirit of excellence, that spark of the divine into everything we do.
Precisely. And just as the golden lampstand illuminated the tabernacle, we're called to be sources of light in the world around us. It could be through sharing knowledge, speaking truth, or simply offering acts of kindness and compassion, that shine and impact others.
I love that visual. Like little beacons scattering sparks of light wherever we go. But before we get too carried away with our metaphorical glow sticks, let's bring it back to the tabernacle itself. We've got this portable temple, these incredible objects inside. But where does the human element come in? Where do people actually gather?
That's a great question. Remember, the Israelites were wandering in the wilderness, yet they took the time and effort to create this elaborate structure, this designated space where they could connect with the divine. It reminds us that cultivating a sense of the sacred takes intention.
So how do we translate that into modern life? I mean, most of us aren't building golden lampstands in our backyards.
True. But the principle still applies. It's about creating those spaces in our lives, physical or mental, where we can connect with something larger than ourselves. It could be your meditation corner, your home office where you do your best work, or even that nature trail that recharges your soul. What are those places in your life that you've intentionally designed to connect with something larger than yourself?
It would be easy to say, well, the Israelites were commanded to build this elaborate thing, so it's different for us. But what if it's not that different? What if finding that connection, that arc moment, requires us to put in the same kind of effort, even today?
Yeah.
To be intentional about creating those spaces, those rituals, that help us tap into something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that the sacred isn't confined to temples or churches. It's something we can cultivate in our everyday lives through our actions, our intentions, the spaces we create, and the way we move through the world. Just like those skilled craftspeople who built the tabernacle, we can bring that same sense of purpose and mindfulness to whatever we do.
So whether we're building a business, a family, a piece of art, it's about approaching it with that same reverence, that dedication to excellence. It's almost like infusing the mundane with the divine.
And that brings us back to the heart of it all, the Ark of the Covenant, that meeting place between the divine and the human, the very core of the tabernacle, both physically and symbolically.
Okay, but what does that mean for us here, now? Most of us don't have a golden chest with God's top 10 list inside our homes.
That's right. That ark with the 10 Commandments nestled inside represents something fundamental about our human experience, though. The desire for connection, for guidance, for something to ground us and give our lives meaning.
It's like we're all searching for our own ark moment, that point where we feel a sense of clarity, purpose, and deep connection to something larger than ourselves.
And the tabernacle reminds us that creating those moments takes effort. It's about intentionally building those spaces, both internal and external, where we can encounter the sacred.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from divine shopping lists to metaphorical glow sticks, from ancient rituals to modern-day ark moments. What's the one big takeaway our listeners should walk away with? What can they do today, right now, to apply these ancient ideas to their modern lives?
It goes back to that spirit of generosity we talked about at the very beginning.
Right.
What can you give? Freely and willingly, from the heart. To make a positive impact on the world around you. It could be a simple act of kindness, a donation to a cause you care about, or simply offering your time and attention to someone in need.
And it's not just about giving to others. It's about giving to ourselves too, right? Creating those spaces, those rituals, those moments that nourish our own souls.
Exactly. Maybe it's finally setting up that meditation space you've been putting off, or taking yourself on an artist's date, or writing that letter you've been meaning to send. Whatever it is, do it with intention.
So it's like taking all those lessons from the tabernacle, the generosity, the craftsmanship, the reverence for something bigger than ourselves, and weaving them into the fabric of our modern lives.
Beautifully said. Yeah, it's about building our own personal tabernacles in a sense. Not with gold and acacia wood, but with intention, creativity, and a willingness to connect with the sacred in the everyday.
And who knows, maybe in the process of building, giving, and creating, we'll stumble upon our own arc moments, those unexpected flashes of clarity, connection, and purpose that remind us why we're here.
On that note, we'll leave you to ponder your own acts of building, giving, and creating. What small step can you take today to create your own sacred space, or to bring a little more light into the world?
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep seeking those moments of connection that make life truly meaningful.